Hey, this is Justin Damashevitz from the Scrimmage Podcast, and you probably can tell by the fact that I'm making this video that our podcast is coming at you a little bit differently this week due to a power outage at our regular recording studio. My co-host Daniel will be recording a solo podcast on his own, and I'm going to do a little video for our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. So this week, it was a slim week for Grays Harbor High School football because there was no Hoquiam game, no Aberdeen game, no Elma game, all canceled due to COVID something or other, whether it's contact tracing or COVID pause for some of the teams. They all have a slightly different story, but they all didn't have a game this week. So Montesano was the only team of our four main teams that had a football game, and it just so happened that we had some performances from that game that were absolutely worthy of Athlete of the Week honors, and a lot of choices, but I got two nominations, and I'm going to go with one of them that to me feels like an absolute explosive standout performance, and that came from sophomore starting defensive end Gabe Bodwell, who in the game recorded 6 tackles and 5 sacks. Now, if you read the Daily World article, it says he had 4 sacks. I was told by a player who said he talked to the stats guy, and the stats guy said that he had 5 sacks, so I'm going to go with 5 because I like that number better. So Gabe Bodwell, as a sophomore, he is tall, he is long, he is explosive. I mean, I've known this kid a long time. I coached him in football in elementary school, and he's always been a real special athlete for his age. Really, really explosive ability athletically on defense, but also on offense. When he gets the ball in his hands with a little bit of space, he can really make something happen. So Gabe Bodwell, 5 sacks as a sophomore, starting on the defensive line. Congratulations, you are our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. There's a couple of other performances from this game that I think are definitely worth noting. One is the other nomination that came in, which is the Montesano offensive line. Like, all of them. And I'm just going to name the starters from the offensive line because it is notable how well over the first 2 games Montesano has been able to control the line of scrimmage and not only protect for the pass, but run the ball as well. So Montesano offensive line, I really hope I got this right. From left to right, Spencer Coleman, Alex Delgado, Mateo Sanchez, Riley Chapman, John Southard. Congratulations, you were nominated by a fan of the team as the Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week, and I think your performance should be commended. I also think it would be pretty irresponsible of me to not mention Isaiah Pierce because that's the other guy, and we know Isaiah is like the centerpiece of Montesano's, their team, but really especially their offense. He rushed for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win over White Salmon that happened on Thursday. And even if you go back to last week, he rushed for 109 yards against Cascade Christian and scored 2 touchdowns in that game as well. So Isaiah Pierce, there's going to be lots of opportunities for you to be Athlete of the Week, and it's definitely going to happen. I feel like we're going to fall into the same trap like we did last year by naming someone besides Trace Ridgway Athlete of the Week every week and then just having to apologize to Trace. So I'll just start it now. Sorry, Isaiah. You deserve it, but Gabe Bodwell, 5 sacks in 1 game. You don't really see that all that often. He definitely deserves it as well. Since we haven't had a true regular podcast over the last couple weeks, I didn't really get a chance to talk about Montesano's football team. I had the opportunity to be on the broadcast team with Ian Cope in the week 1 win. Well, I guess it was week 2, technically, because we lost a game because of a COVID pause. But the first game that Montesano played was last week against Cascade Christian, and they won that game 43-0. I got to be on the broadcast. It was an incredibly dominant performance by Montesano. Jaden McElravy was last week's Athlete of the Week based on what he did in that game. 8 for 9, 176 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I don't want to wear out this topic, but I do want to make sure, since I didn't have a proper podcast to recognize Jaden for what he did in that game, he is a junior who was sort of thrust into the starting role because Isaiah Pierce, Isaac Pierce, the senior who most of us thought would probably be the quarterback, had a knee injury that's kept him out, and he hasn't been able to play. So Jaden, as a junior, a year ahead of schedule, has stepped in as the quarterback for this team, and that was the big question mark. Is Jaden going to be able to step up to the plate? Is he going to be able to make all the throws? Is he going to play consistently? And if you watch that first game, Jaden McElravy answered every question that you might have. not only did he complete almost every pass he threw a really wide variety of throws. He had 2 deep touchdown passes, like high arcing rainbow throws to Caden Lovell. He had another touchdown pass to Caden Lovell that was a dart that he had to throw from the middle of the field. I think it was a 29-yard completion towards the left sideline, and he had to throw it on the money, on a line, and he got it there. And then the other one to Isaiah Pierce was a slant across the middle that he had to get it, thread the needle in traffic, and he made that throw as well. So I think you were able to see just from that week 1 performance that Jaden not only has the ability to make the throws, he has the ability to make all the throws. He showed the ability to make them consistently, and he had another really good consistent performance this past Thursday in the win over White Salmon on the road. The last thing I want to say is if you had any question about how dominant Montesano's been so far, Game 1, I think I already mentioned it, 43-0 win over Cascade Christian. Game 2, 53-0 win over Columbia-White Salmon. And if the scores aren't enough for you, Montesano has allowed 70 yards of total offense in those 2 games combined, 47 against Columbia-White Salmon and 23 against Cascade Christian, while gaining 693 yards combined in those 2 games, 331 against Cascade Christian and 362 against White Salmon. So in addition to scoring 96 points and allowing 0, they have 693 yards of offense, and even perhaps more importantly, have only allowed 70 yards of total offense in those 2 games. So I don't want to let this video get any longer than it has to be. I just felt like these kids needed some recognition, and we didn't have a proper podcast to do it, so I'm going to do it in this video. But let's not forget, the purpose of this video was Athlete of the Week. So this week, I'm going to say it one more time. Gabe Bodwell, you are our Ole Penn Real Estate Athlete of the Week. Thanks for listening, and join us on the podcast. If you don't follow us, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, you can find us, The Scrimmage. We also like to post videos on YouTube, and we are going to really get in the swing of having a lot of local sports coverage and Athlete of the Week every single week, and hopefully we'll have more football games so kids from other teams can be recognized as well. But congratulations to the Bulldogs on the 2 wins, and congratulations to Gabe Bodwell.